Drinking buddies, we're up to now round 5 of our wheated bourbon tournament. Who's gonna win it all? I don't know. But let's jump right in by switching these glasses around.
I'm your drinking buddy.
Well, drinking buddies, as you guys know, we have been doing a wheated bourbon tournament. We have 4 winners so far. So first up was Old Rip 10. The second one that won was Weller 12 Year. The third bottle that won was Georgia Heartwood Fiddler. This is a kind of an unknown bottle, so I'll show it to you. And then our third round was Standard Maker's Mark. And that was our budget level, not budget level. And Maker's Mark won our round of readily available bottles. Next up is the second tier category under that readily available bottles. It's, you know, lower proof stuff that you can kind of sort of find in most markets. You know, the hardest one to find probably is this 1792 Sweet Wheat. I don't know about in other areas, but I can go into Total Wine or my local Safeway and buy this Old Elk Wheated bourbon any day, but I've heard it's hard to find in other areas. The Garrison Brothers might not be available in all states because it's a Texas product, but it's available in Texas and Arizona readily. And then you got Maker's 46, which is everywhere. So I chose these 4 because they're similar in proof. So first up is the Maker's, it's 94 proof. Next up is the Garrison Brothers, it's 94 proof. Next up is the 1792 Sweet Wheat, it's 91.2 proof. And the Old Elk Wheated bourbon is 92 proof. So all right in that same proof range. And they're all good. They're all good. The Garrison Brothers is probably my least favorite of the 4, but I have no idea how it's going to turn out blind. And I love the 46 and I love the Old Elk Wheated. Very drastic price difference between these two. So that is one thing that might throw this whole thing into the loop, is the fact that I do have a cheaper bottle on here next to a really expensive one. And that might not bode well for Maker's 46. However, I think it's fair because I think Maker's 46 is a phenomenal product and it can stack up against some expensive bottles. Let's jump right into it. This first glass is Barn Young Grain Wheat Corn Mesquite. That's really good. That's really good. I think that might be the Garrison Brothers because it's got a mesquite thing going on, but it's sweet. It's got a an apple thing going on, and then a lot of young grain. So I do believe that this is the Garrison. But maybe I'm wrong because it almost looks like it might be the darkest in color, and I would think this would be the youngest. So let's look at the next one. Okay, this got a little bit better nose than the first one. This one's like, ooh, kind of spicy, like black pepper. Maybe a little bit of stone fruit on here. Great nose. Peanuts. That one does taste a little thin on the flavor, especially on the finish. It goes away pretty quick. Yeah, after swallowing, there's not much left. Honey. No, not honey, maple. Maple. Yeah, that tasted a little thin. Let's have a little water. Always stay hydrated when you're drinking. That's my PSA for today. The more you know. Oh, this has got a great nose. This is the best nose so far. This is the best nose so far. It's got peaches. A lot of stone fruit, like peaches and apricots. Okay, That is really good. It's a little bit smoky. A lot of oak coming off that one, but it's still got a nice sweetness to it. Not very dry. The stone fruit doesn't really come through in flavor. It more becomes like caramel and vanilla. Okay. This one is brown sugar and cinnamon on the nose. Lot of cinnamon. A lot of cinnamon and a little bit of peanut. Maybe a little caramel on that one. Yeah, that one's it's giving me candy bar vibes, like I'm eating a Baby Ruth. That's really good. I'm having a hard time saying which of these three really stands out as being the best. On the nose, this is the best, but I think maybe on the flavor, this is the best. So we'll just have to go through again and see what we think. I'll fast forward through this so I don't make you hear my same tasting notes twice. Well, drinking buddies, I think I have my guesses on which is which. I don't think we've got to worry about a queen sweep happening right now. However, I am switching my favorite. After going through again, I've decided that this one's my favorite. This one ended up giving a little bit of extra heat when compared back to the rest, and it tasted hotter than the rest. And I believe, with them all being around the same proof, it shouldn't taste hot, and this one gave a little bit too much heat. When you're comparing, they're all about 94 proof. So my guesses are that this is the Garrison Brothers, this is the Old Elk, this is the 1792 Sweet Wheat, and this is the Maker's 46. And I picked the Maker's 46 to be that one that tasted hot because it does have the highest proof and it's the cheapest of these bottles. So maybe that cheap quality is what's holding it back when you're comparing it to more expensive bottles. If I'm going to put them in order, I'm going to go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, and then lastly, this is the Garrison Brothers. And the problem is the nose. It's so grain forward and it smells like I opened up a barn and I'm just smelling inside, and it's not my jam on the nose. The flavor on it is fine. How much they charge for this bottle, I think might be, borderline criminal. It costs too much for what it is. It's a good bourbon. It's not a great bourbon. And they got a price tag on it like it's a great bourbon, unfortunately. So bye-bye chances of sponsorship with Garrison Brothers. But so I think the best thing we can do now is find out which is which. So we'll start here on the end, which I'm like 99% sure this is the Garrison Brothers. So it should say number 2 underneath. Number 2, Garrison Brothers. So I got that one right. This next one I said was the Old Elk, and this was my favorite. So it should have a number 4 on it. Number 4, Old Elk. So Old Elk won. Next up, this should be the 1792 Sweet Wheat, so it should have a number 3 underneath it. Oh, okay. That is the Makers. And the last one, number 3, is the 1792 Sweet Wheat. So the one that had a little bit extra heat on it was by far the lowest proof. And it's there. On the finish, it's got a really hot finish for around this proof. I'm not saying that it's barrel proof or anything. I'm just saying for around this proof, it drinks hot, and it makes the finish just become one note, and it's very peanutty on the finish for me. Not a bad thing. It's just these are great bottles. Well, good bottle. These 3 are great bottles, and when you're putting it up against other bottles that are also great, it's just you know, it's just not as good. And while we're on that subject, this is probably the one bottle on this table that is allocated, and it's not as good as Maker's 46. So keep that in mind. We had our winner, so Old Elk Wheated Bourbon is going into the next round. Thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you can, if you haven't done that before. I'm trying to hit 2,000 subscribers right now, and you can help me reach that goal. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.